Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Lawcast. This time, we're going back to cover the time Edge lost one world title and won the other one in the same night. It's No Way Out 2009. Kyush, of all the sleazy stuff that Edge ever pulled off, where would you rank this one?
I mean, in terms of sleaziness, boy, it sure did suck for Kofi Kingston to have his, one chance at the title be usurped by, a guy just randomly beating the shit out of him.
I feel like he talked about that during his, run-up to his WrestleMania match with Daniel Bryan, that, the only time he ever got a title match, he actually got beat up and didn't even get to be in it.
Yeah. But we're talking about a man who literally carried on a sexual relationship with his old friend's widow in order to continue his title shot. So,
that's not even the one I was thinking of.
Oh, which one were you thinking of?
Lita.
Yeah. So, I mean, in the history of, sleazy wrestling characters, he's really at the top, and I don't think this is, a top 5 sleaze moment for him.
No, it's hard to top the original Money in the Bank catch-in after Cena won the Elimination Chamber.
I am always impressed, though, once they put that ultimate opportunist moniker on him, they do just keep coming up with ways to make that name make sense, nobody else in wrestling history would have made this work for them except for him.
So, yeah. We'll talk about No Way Out 2009 in a little bit, but first, we've got some current wrestling stories to cover, starting with the amended Vince McMahon Janelle Grant lawsuit. Janelle Grant's attorney filed an amendment to her lawsuit. Most of the news here, I feel like, is just revealing names we had kind of already guessed. Brock Lesnar is, in fact, the former UFC champion who Grant was offered to as part of his contract negotiations. Cain Velasquez off the hook.
How wild would it have been if it had been Ken Shamrock?
Yeah. Triple H's office shared a wall with John Laurinaitis' office where him and Vince allegedly sexually assaulted Janelle Grant.
And see, now we have to play this weird game where it's can you reasonably say that Triple H did not know what was going on when he literally shared an office wall with that office?
Hard to believe.
And her office opened directly into Johnny Ace's office, which means it was literally a free use sexual assault room.
And I think it's clear it was literally designed that way.
Yes. And Nick Khan's the one who designed it. So guys, who knew and who didn't know, right?
I mean, and the culture is just stacking up here when you look at them hiring, I can't remember, what's the name from College Game Day? Lee Fang?
Yeah.
Yeah. At a certain point, you understand why this is a lawsuit, not just against Vince McMahon and John Laurinaitis personally, but also WWE, the company.
And it would be ridiculous at this point to say that anybody is truly innocent here. There's no reason to think that Stephanie is or Triple H is, or they're at least complicit in that it's obvious that they knew what was going on.
The other this I think was a new allegation, was that Vince had her take what was referred to as a custom pornographic image that he would then share with Michael Hayes and other members of the creative team.
Has anything ever surprised you less than to hear Michael Hayes' fucking name announced as part of this?
No, kind of shocking it took this long.
All those years where we were I wonder what Michael Hayes has on Vince that he still has a job. Well, actually, maybe he does have some dirt on Vince.
There was something else in here I found interesting. Oh, the either text messages or transcription of voicemails from Vince where he's demanding she sign the NDA because they have a board meeting coming up. And at the board meeting, they have to reveal any pending litigation. So he's literally just I'm fucked if you don't sign this thing.
Yeah, having that on tape really isn't great for Vince's case.
No.
Again, does all of this mean that they're actually going to be able to take Vince down for any of this? I don't know. I wish I could believe it, but it really just, what it does is it paints a very vivid picture of the fact that everybody knew about this. Vince wasn't even remotely trying to hide it. He was just openly doing this shit and thought it was no big deal. That was the culture of WWE.
Story number 2, the Raw after Royal Rumble fallout. A lot of the direction for WrestleMania is coming into focus here. We've got 2 qualifiers for the men's elimination chamber match. John Cena just put himself in the match. He has the right to do that. And CM Punk beat Sami Zayn in a very good match to advance to the chamber.
That was a fantastic match. Like, I was genuinely hyped to watch that
You
one.
gotta hand it to CM Punk. Dude's been having bangers ever since he came back to the ring.
As much as we've made fun of him, like,
Yeah.
as long as he stays healthy, like, he has not stopped delivering good matches since he made his original comeback. He just can't stay healthy. So if he's healthy, he's doing it.
And there's so many people on this roster I'm interested to see him wrestle. Like, if anything, my disappointment in his run so far is they've had him have so few matches. He's really, I mean, obviously he was hurt for a long time, but even when he's been healthy, they just haven't really had him wrestle other than against Drew.
Yeah, and I'm sure that at this point, he's still really only wrestling people who it's, like, notably safe to wrestle or who are, like, really fantastic workers to maybe kind of cover up, like, his flaws. So, like, I'm sure they're not going to put him in there with, like, random guys. But at the same time, like, yeah, there's a laundry list of people I'd love to see him wrestle before he's done.
I think the most notable thing was this was the first time since they moved to Netflix that there were issues with the broadcast. This was going out on me a lot during the main event.
And that is interesting because, like, I don't know what exactly is different week to week that would cause that to be the problem. I gotta guess it's on Netflix's side, right?
Probably.
Yeah.
It's interesting. They've had a couple broadcast screw-ups because I didn't catch this because I was watching Saturday Night's Main Event on Peacock, but apparently on the TV broadcast, they were playing the Spanish, like, commentary for the first,
I did hear that.
8 or 10 minutes of the show. It didn't happen to me because I was watching it on Peacock.
I might almost prefer that sometimes.
To Corey Graves, yes.
The Jey Uso promo on this show, I thought he, like, absolutely knocked it out of the park. Like, super emotional, super well done.
Yeah. I dug Charlotte's, too, just because it was real.
Hoo boy, but Cleveland didn't love it, Steve. They booed the fuck out of her.
I'm fine with that. She's supposed to be a heel, right?
And that's the thing. It's like, I'm glad she got a chance to cut that, like, impassioned promo, but, like, there's no reason for the fans to like Charlotte Flair. She's been nothing but a heel for years.
No, and she's going to be going up against Rhea at WrestleMania, so she's going to be the heel in that match.
Right. But it was nice, like, both people who won these Royal Rumbles got to cut, like, really impassioned, like, very real promos about what this means to them, and I thought that was cool.
And story number 3, the Triple H Hall of Fame announcement. Paul Triple H Levesque will be the first inductee into the WWE Hall of Fame class of 2025.
Now, they did take pains to say that it wasn't Triple H's idea, that it was Nick Khan's idea, and then Shawn Michaels and Undertaker surprised him, and they didn't refuse to tell Stephanie when she met them backstage because they knew that she would blab it to Triple H. So, like, they tried to take the heat off of Triple H. Like, he didn't put himself in the Hall of Fame. Let's take it easy, guys.
I mean, like, he 1,000% deserves to be in. Like,
sure, yes.
Not even the biggest Triple H hater would claim he doesn't. This is the WWE Hall of Fame. One, he belongs in any legitimate Hall of Fame anyway. He's, one of the biggest stars in company history. Top 25 minimum.
Yeah, this is the interesting question.
10.
As one of the 5 biggest stars during the biggest wave in like wrestling history, you'd have to put him like top 15, maybe.
Like, this would be fun if we started talking about like it's hard to say what do we mean by stars. Like to me, Hogan is always number 1 because he was the foundation and his run was so long. I think Austin is maybe the only guy who's ever been even hotter than Hogan.
Yeah.
San Martino has got to be in that top 5. I think Rock is in that top 5. And the 5th spot's kind of interesting.
This would be a really fantastic topic for like a random offshoot episode that we do sometimes, because this is what we used to do on wrestling forums all day. Is it'd be like, what's the greatest WrestleMania match? And then you just debate and debate and debate for days about like, Was Rock versus Austin at WrestleMania 19 better than at WrestleMania 15? Go!
It's like Bill Simmons' proposal for how the NBA Hall of Fame should work, that it should be levels, and like each level you've moved up into another caliber of player until you get to the very top, and there's only like 10 guys on the top level.
Because I could literally talk about this for days and days about like, all right, where does Eddie Guerrero rank on the list? And then we got to open it up to international wrestlers. Where does Tanahashi go on the list?
It's totally different if you like open it up to guys like outside WWE, because then you have to consider a ton more people, and it gets a lot harder. If you strictly go by what people did in WWE, it's much simpler, because it's just like, basically, like, Ric Flair is still in there, but he's not really that big a deal. You know, Goldberg is not really a big deal, etc.
That is interesting. If we just play the just in WWE game, it is a lot easier to construct that.
Triple H might, literally just in WWE, Triple H might crack the top 10.
But it is very interesting to play the Cena versus like Hogan game. Like,
Cena might be the fifth guy I was talking about earlier.
Yeah. So maybe that's a topic for a future episode. When we get bored, one day we'll get bored and we'll just be like, let's do something different, and maybe we'll knock that one out.
Who are some people you really want to see get into the Hall of Fame? I got my little list here. Sid, Lex Luger, Brian Pillman, Demolition, the Hardys. I think the Hardys might go in this year. I hope Luger.
Yeah.
Luger is so long overdue. And Sid, it's a real bummer they didn't induct Sid before he died. I always hate when they don't put people in while they're alive.
If they don't put Luger in, like, Luger might not survive many more years. So, like, I think if they want to put him in while he's still alive, like,
please
let's strike while the iron is hot. I don't know. There's a lot of guys that are kind of on the fringe, too. Like, I always think, like, X-Pac, is he a Hall of Famer?
Yeah, like, I think he is. They already put him in as part. That's the funny thing with like people complaining about the Triple H thing. Triple H is already in the Hall of Fame as part of DX, but like so is X-Pac. But X-Pac really deserves. I think X-Pac's gone in twice because I think they put him in as part of the NWO too.
Yeah, they did.
But he deserves his own induction too. But they probably can't because he can't be the first 3-time Hall of Famer.
How funny would it be for X-Pac to be the first 3-time Hall of Famer?
Except it kind of fits him, because he was just like, a lot of the thing about his career was he was just always in like interesting places at interesting times.
Yeah, because you got to think about people who aren't going to be headliners but still deserve to get in, right? And like that's where it gets kind of tricky. Like people on like the Ron Simmons level of like which of those people deserve to get in. And, like, that's where it gets kind of tricky. In terms of, like, women, I think Victoria is so fucking overdue to get in this Hall of Fame,
I'm surprised I was trying to think of who some of the women are who aren't in yet. I feel like they've put in most of, like, the Attitude Era. I mean, I think they've pretty much put in all the Attitude Era women at this point.
Yeah. Is Jackie in?
I think so.
I would hope so. I think, like, it's a good time to put Natalya in and maybe kind of coax her towards retirement. Like, maybe.
Yeah, Jacqueline went in back in 2016. The Dudley Boys inducted her.
Cool. So, yeah, there's really not a lot of people from, like, the Divas era you would want to put in.
The Midnight Express is a big one. Like, I know they never
yeah.
But, like, they put the Rock and Roll Express in. Those guys did work as well. They did work in WWE as part of the NWA invasion in 1998.
Now, in terms of, like, the international wrestler that they always put in, they always put in, like, one random person from Japan. I would love it if they went the other way and, like, let's put in, like, El Santo or something like that. We got so many luchadors in this company now, and there's only, like, I think, like, Mil Mascaras is the only luchador in the Hall of Fame.
That's a good point. They really haven't done really any Mexican legends, have they?
No. I mean, obviously, those guys haven't done a lot with WWE, which, I mean, maybe that's the complicating factor. But, like, come on, guys. Put Mystico in and just pretend he wasn't Sin Cara.
Mystico. All right. Let's turn the clock back to February 2009. It had already been a wild year in WWE, and we were only a month into the year. Coming into the year, John Cena was the World Heavyweight Champion on Raw, and Jeff Hardy was the WWE Champion on SmackDown. That alone is weird that the World Heavyweight title was on Raw and the WWE title was on SmackDown, but they had done a switcheroo at this point.
And it's important to note that, like, Jeff Hardy's absolute explosion into, like, a superstar had happened randomly in December. And it's kind of already over at the end of January.
Because they took the belt off him at the Royal Rumble.
Like, right away.
His brother Matt betrayed him and cost him the title against Edge.
Like, I'll always feel, like, really horrible for Jeff that, like, at his most triumphant moment, they were like, all right, now what do we have for him? I don't know.
Nothing.
Put him in there with Matt, I guess.
Yeah. And, like, they didn't trust him to be champion for any significant period of time. Understandably.
I mean, you can't really blame him, right? And, like, what was he going to face John Cena at WrestleMania? Like, I don't know what the plan really was.
If you were just going to make the biggest match you could make, it probably would have been Jeff versus Cena. But the other reason I'm okay with him dropping it, Jeff is not a guy meant to be a long-term champion. Jeff is be chasing the belt and then get screwed out of it.
For sure.
I think this was going to be Christian who cost him the title, though, and then that leaked online, and they changed it because of that.
I think it would have been so much better if it had been Christian.
Better if it had been Christian.
Christian versus Jeff at WrestleMania would have really been a hot thing. In this case, like, nobody really gave a shit about Matt. And this is like fat Matt Hardy wearing, like, the key tights. Like, when we get to WrestleMania, this is not a good time.
At the Rumble, Cena retained the world title over JBL, even though JBL's lackey, Shawn Michaels, tried to help JBL win the match.
Yeah, we'll get all into that whole thing later.
Shawn is broke.
I love so much that storyline. It's remembered so badly. Because people hated
that at the time. I'm trying to think of a storyline in history that got a more viscerally negative reaction from the internet than that one.
But it's understandable because, like, fans don't want to be told that their favorite wrestler is broke and destitute and needs to work for a heel or his family's gonna starve.
Yeah, the whole thing there was he said he didn't save any money when he was younger. And then he was hurt for a while, and he came back, and he was being smarter with his money. But then the stock market took a giant dive in the fall of 2008, and he lost all his retirement savings. And he didn't want to have to be one of those guys who keeps wrestling into his 50s or has to do the convention circuit.
And the depressing thing about it is it's so real.
The wrestler had just come out.
This exact thing happened to so many people. And we're still getting reflections of Flair's retirement just happened.
Yep.
And, like, Michaels is now thinking about his mortality. And he's like, fuck, I'm running out of time. What am I going to do?
I don't want to end up like Rick.
Yeah, I don't want to be here until I'm 60 and have to go out on a cart. Like, what am I going to do?
So tonight he's going to wrestle JBL. And the stipulation is that if he wins, he gets a massive payout from JBL, enough he'll be able to live on forever. And if he loses, he has to actually be JBL's slave.
And what a perfect use of JBL this is, as just like the devil being like, I would love to have you as an employee of mine, Shawn. Because JBL, from his perspective, isn't doing anything wrong. He's giving Shawn Michaels a genuine opportunity to, like, support his family. But he's just making him do the sleaziest fucking shit.
Would this storyline have been better? Since the problem is JBL's back is fucked and he can't wrestle anymore.
Yeah, that's the problem.
Shouldn't JBL have been like, I'll manage you, Shawn, and I'll take you back to the title?
And then, like, he's forcing Shawn to cheat, but, like, Shawn does keep winning.
Is
that
better? I think it might be.
That might be better, yeah.
I'll help you beat The Undertaker at WrestleMania. There might be something there.
Also,
it's
like,
even better if it probably should have started after Shawn lost to Undertaker. He could have gone into his downward spiral, and then JBL is like, I'll manage you, I'll take you back to the top.
This is the real connection, right? So, like, he's gonna do his I'm about to retire, fuck, what am I gonna do spiral after he loses to Taker. If you had combined those two storylines at the same moment, it would have been so compelling for Triple H to be like, why the fuck are you doing this, Shawn? You don't have to do this. He's like, my career's over. I'm running out of time. And I'm gonna face The Undertaker at WrestleMania no matter what, and if I lose, I'll have nothing. JBL can help me win. I have to win.
And the biggest, hottest thing in the company is Randy Orton.
Dude.
He's feuding with the McMahons. Of course, he shockingly hit Vince with the punt the Raw before the Royal Rumble, which that is an all-timer for me in wrestling history. One of my favorite moments of all time. I don't even know what it is that made it so shocking. I think it's that he kicked him for real.
Here's the thing. We need to rewind and put people back in the mind space we were all in during this time. Randy Orton had been a boring-ass singles wrestler for a number of years at this point. He had just been the same Age of Orton, cocky heel, forever and ever and ever. Then suddenly this thing happens where he starts to get more vicious with the legacy. But it doesn't happen all at once. It just kind of happens over time. He fucks Punk out of that one title match, and the legacy is like a pack of wild dogs. But then we get to this moment, and I can't even remember why Vince was gonna fire him. But it's obvious that Vince is building up to be you're, and he slaps him in the face, stiff.
He hit the mic too, which is great.
And Vince is on the ground and he looks concussed already.
Yeah.
Orton backs up and he punts this old man full on for real in the head.
Vince was you need to kick me for real. Make it look good.
You watch his shin ricochet off of Vince's skull.
Oh.
And he does this thing where it's like demons are consuming Randy Orton, and for the first time ever in his life, he's happy. For this 2-month stretch, that character goes to a place that I'm sure wasn't sustainable, but this is a serial killer. What we have here is serial killer Randy Orton, and we only enjoy it for 2 months, but for those 2 months, maybe the greatest character in wrestling history.
So then he wins the Royal Rumble. I don't remember how they explained why he wasn't fired for attacking Vince. Whatever. Look, the real Vince McMahon wouldn't fire him. The real Vince McMahon would want to fight him.
Yeah, I think Stephanie came out and she was just like, Vince, my dad wouldn't want us to fire you. He would want us to punish you.
So he won the Royal Rumble. He's going to WrestleMania. And then the next night, Shane McMahon returned and kicked his ass.
And it's funny because this is kind of pudgy Shane. This is not super in shape, ready to go Shane McMahon. This is business tycoon Shane McMahon.
Throwing
Steve
some of the worst punches of all time.
Steve historically does not care for Shane McMahon matches.
Sure don't.
Let's be clear about that. And we hadn't had a good Shane McMahon match in a jolly long time. The last one we had gotten, I think, was Kane electrocuting his balls, right?
Well, he had done the stuff with Umaga and Lashley and Vince, but those were just handicap matches. That was the year before,
right.
That was 2 years before this. That was 2007.
And he had done DX in the Hell in a Cell thing, right, too?
Yeah.
It had been garbage.
05, I think. Terrible.
We were a long way from those Kurt Angle matches,
All right, before we get to the show, are you ready for this lightning round?
Let's fucking go!
Coming out of the Royal Rumble, Meltzer editorialized that, quote, logic would dictate Steve Austin be Randy Orton's opponent at WrestleMania.
Holy shit!
I don't know why logic would have dictated that.
Fucking Austin coming to the defense of the McMahon family would have been extremely funny.
Meltzer also reported Vince was trying to get Austin versus Hogan on the card for this WrestleMania.
I mean, he did try 500 times, yeah.
That would have been so bad in 2009.
Let's say hypothetically that on this WrestleMania you have access to Hogan and Austin. What would you have them do?
Shit. I think you gotta do a tag match of some kind, because I don't think you could do a singles match.
And I don't even know what it would be.
Trying to think of something that makes sense. Here's what I thought. I thought Austin was going to wrestle Jericho here, because I thought Jericho was doing his thing with the Legends, and it was going to be in Texas. And Jericho's even though Jericho and Austin, as we know, historically
have the worst chemistry in the world.
But Jericho's a perfect guy to work with when you got a bad neck, because he doesn't do high impact stuff. You can just do a brawl.
And that's a fair point. That does make sense. And then Hogan, fuck off Hogan.
Could you try to get Hogan versus Cena? Could you do that?
I mean, what would it even be? Like,
Can he take any of Cena's stuff? Especially not at this point. His back was destroyed.
yeah, like I said, it has to be a tag match, and I'm looking at the people that they had, and I just don't see that match.
Hard to put that together.
Yeah.
Unless it's like Jericho versus Austin, Hogan, and Flair in the handicap match.
Now that would have been something. That would have been
Jericho
some
has to
win.
run the Legends Gauntlet. Oh, here's an idea. 25th anniversary of WrestleMania, 25-man battle royal, one guy from each WrestleMania.
I fucking love that.
Now
Have Hogan win the shit.
It's like the New Japan Rumble.
Dude, I would be so into that.
Like, I don't know if you could use Austin in a battle royal, but you could definitely use Hogan. You could just have Hogan win it.
My guy, like, that's an inspired idea. That would have been really fantastic.
Mickey Rourke committed to and then backed out of wrestling Chris Jericho at WrestleMania. Didn't want to cost himself that Oscar that he didn't win anyway.
It's so funny because...
Also, I think he was afraid Jericho was actually going to kick his ass.
So that happened later on because after he saw the promo that Jericho cut, he decided that Jericho was like going to go in on him. So he got actual shooters to show up to WrestleMania with him. Frank Shamrock.
And the other two guys.
And then Jericho said in his book that, like, Vince was like, Frank Shamrock's so short. And Jericho's like, yeah, you take Shamrock. I'll take Rourke.
Chris Jericho, lots of Jericho this week, either swung at or punched a female fan who allegedly spit on him. There's video
now,
of this.
Was this the time that the fan tried to force... Yeah, so is this the time that the fan tried to force themselves into his car?
I think so. Or that was a different woman, who knows?
Yes. Yeah, this was a big deal, though, at the time. So, like, there were, like, 2 incidents where, like, somebody punches a woman within, like, 3 months, and they both involved Jericho. The other time, it was actually the hurricane, and Jericho was just there with him. That was at, like, a random gas station. This time, he was, like, getting into his car, and, like, a fan, like, forces the door open and tries to get in, so he literally clocks her right in the fucking face.
Meltzer commented that the crowd at a Raw he attended in Oakland was, quote, less attractive and poorer dressed than the crowd at a recent UFC show he had gone to.
Fuck off, Meltzer. What the hell is that? Less attractive. Eat shit, man.
The name of John Cena's finisher was changed from the FU to the Attitude Adjuster and then to the Attitude Adjustment.
It seems amazing that happened so late here. I thought that had already happened.
I thought that happened in, like, 2005.
And, like, I guess whatever. Like, FU and ST...
It didn't really fit by this point.
I will say that I do think that STFU is, like, one of the all-time great puns in wrestling history, yeah.
Harry Smith was reported to be joining the Legacy.
That would have been something. They could have used, like, a bigger heater guy. You know what I mean? Harry Smith could have been great.
Squandered Harry Smith.
It seems amazing. They never had anything for him. Ever.
No, I mean, like, him and Tyson Kidd were a decent tag team, and then they didn't really push him.
They saw the money in Kidd for some reason. Like, guys, Harry Smith, still pretty good to this day. He just won, like, the Triple Crown Championship in the last year.
Connecticut Governor Jody Rell named Linda McMahon to the Connecticut Board of Education.
Woof.
And now she's going to be Secretary of Education for the entire country.
Double woof. It's triple woof.
During her confirmation, it turned out she had falsely claimed to have had a degree in education. Her college degree was actually in French.
She got a college degree in French?
French, yeah.
Well, look, as an English major, I don't know how much I can really turn my nose up at that. But
and then I think she taught French for a little while.
By the way, your boy was a triple major in English, Shakespeare, and film, in case you're wondering how that shit goes.
$0 made with any of those.
$0.
Brutus Beef... Okay, this is the hammer. This is a whopper. Brutus Beefcake backed out of a scheduled celebrity boxing match in Philadelphia and was replaced by the Sandman against Tom Robinson, quote, a well-known Philadelphia wrestling fan. The match was supposed to be a work, but Sandman double-crossed Robinson and started shooting on him, knocking him out. Robinson then went looking for Sandman backstage, but Sandman had apparently left immediately after the fight.
All right, hold on. Let me get this straight.
A lot going on here.
So a money mark, like, put up the money so that Brutus Beefcake would box him in like a celebrity boxing thing, right? And then Beefcake couldn't make it, so Sandman steps in instead, and Sandman's like, I'm gonna show this mark a thing or two, and he just beats his fucking ass in a boxing
guy's
match,
ass.
and then like drives off into the night before he can be caught.
Yeah. I assume he got his draw for the night.
And you know what's funny about that is that, like, that's super unprofessional, but this is not a wrestling match. Some random fan paid him, like, a bunch of money.
What is this? Oh, it was supposed to be a work? That's fraud.
Say, if it was an actual boxing match, and if it was, like, I don't know if it was, like, for charity or whatever, but, like, if it was meant to be a work, buddy, you got what you deserved.
All right, to get into the show, it's Sunday, February 15th, 2009. We're at the Key Arena in Seattle, Washington. There's like 11,000 people there. The show did 272,000 buys. That's down from 329 the previous year. Pretty big drop.
It sure is. Fuck, that's
pretty grim. This was the last No Way Out until, actually they brought No Way Out back later, but after the year after this, they renamed the show Elimination Chamber.
Yeah, they brought it back in like 2012, but they put it on in like July. Like, it was definitely not the same thing.
Do you remember what the main event of that show was?
No, I don't.
Big Show versus John Cena in a barbed wire steel cage match.
Oh, God, you're right.
On commentary, this is lots of announcers. We've got Michael Cole and Jerry Lawler calling the Raw matches, Jim Ross and Taz calling the SmackDown matches, and Todd Grisham and Matt Striker calling the ECW matches. For ring announcers, we've got Lillian Garcia from Raw, Justin Roberts from SmackDown, and Tony Chimmel for ECW.
And I mean, it's not bad, but it does feel weird, right? Especially like the Raw team
is just that's just a strange combination because it only lasted a year. They're good together, but it's just the end of JR's WWE run when they moved him to SmackDown.
I also just feel like Taz doesn't really know. He doesn't want to like bury JR like he does Cole because he's too respectful of him, and like JR doesn't really know how to like play off of Taz's bits. So there's a lot of like awkward dead air when they're calling together.
In the dark match, Melina defeated Beth Phoenix to retain the women's championship.
That's where we are at this point. A women's title match can't even get on No Way Out.
Opening promo starts by focusing on Shane versus Orton, then JBL versus Shawn, and then the two chamber matches. They left off Swagger versus Finlay. They didn't get in the opening promo.
So cruel. I mean, Jack Swagger, the All-American, we got to get him in there. They do a good job with these elimination chambers as they're hyping them of like not quite showing everyone who's in them. Because there are two gigantic fucking duds in these matches.
First one is for the WWE Championship. We've got Edge defending against Big Show, Jeff Hardy, Triple H, Undertaker, and Vladimir Kozlov.
Now, if you recall from this time, the SmackDown main event scene has actually been like awesome for like the past 6 months to a year. Triple H came over and like put on his working boots to put over everybody on SmackDown. So like even like Kozlov is like a pretty effective main eventer at this point.
Yeah. And Kozlov had gotten a big push. He was in the title match at Survivor Series against Triple H. I think he beat The Undertaker.
Yeah. Like at this point he's still undefeated. Like nobody's actually beaten him.
Edge and Jeff start the match. 2 minutes in, Jeff hits Edge with a twist of fate, goes for the Swanton bomb, but Edge rolls out of the way. Edge goes for a spear, but Jeff rolls him up and gets the 1, 2, 3, and Edge is gone. the WWE champion is eliminated 3 minutes into this thing.
This is, to date, the only time somebody has been eliminated in the first 5 minutes of an Elimination Chamber match.
Wow.
JR, like, literally is trying to explain to the fans what happens if that happens before it does, so that they won't. And he's like, the match ends, and Jeff Hardy just wins the title, and Taz has to correct him and be like, no, it doesn't. That would be crazy
if that were true.
Everybody just leaves the pods, and they're like, well, shit.
I didn't catch that. Did they release Kozlov early because of this? Because they may have just taken 2 minutes to actually get Edge out of the ring after this happened.
Yeah, that's what happens, because Edge like goes all around the ring and looks in all the pods, and everybody laughs at him, and then he like finally heads to the back. So yeah, they just kill the time until the pod opens. But yeah, this is incredible. Like, Edge, who beat Jeff Hardy at the Royal Rumble and humiliated him, now gets humiliated himself, and we are guaranteed a new WWE champion.
Kozlov is the next guy in. He spends most of the interval beating up Jeff.
Stands to reason.
Yeah. Big Show comes in. Him and Kozlov initially team up on Jeff, but then they end up fighting each other. Triple H comes in next. He starts off hot, but he gets cut off by Big Show. And then Undertaker's our final entrant. He enters when everyone is down, and it's just like, okay, Buzzard's gonna pick, like, all the dead, animals up.
Fucking mean. For, like, you can say it's random all you want, but for Undertaker to be the last one in, it's just fucked up for everybody else.
He cleans house. He counters a Kozlov 10-punch into the last ride and pins Kozlov. Don't try to 10-punch The Undertaker.
What an idiot Kozlov is. He loses his first ever match because he's never watched a second of tape in his life.
Big Show, Hardy, and Undertaker fight up on the top of the pod. Undertaker superplexes Big Show. Triple H hits him with a pedigree, and then Jeff hits him with a swanton bomb off the top of the pod, and Triple H jumps on top to pin him, and Big Show's out.
Big ups to Big Show for taking an actual swanton off the pod. Like,
that's
this
a
thing.
Swanton. Shit, I wouldn't want that. I know Jeff is kind of skinny, but like, that's still a lot of velocity he's got to have.
And it's not like he glances it. Like, he lands on top of Show.
No, he needs Big Show to absorb that impact.
Exactly.
Taker hits Jeff with a tombstone and pins him, so we're down to Undertaker and Triple H. Undertaker does his awesome spot where he, like, flips backwards over the ropes to tombstone Triple H, but Triple H gets his foot on the ropes.
Yeah, that was unbelievable because, like, he and Triple H particularly are really good because you forget that Triple H isn't actually that much shorter than The Undertaker. So, like, they can both kind of hold each other like this. But, yeah, that was fucking cool. How do you feel about rope breaks in an Elimination Chamber match?
That's a good question. Why can't you pin somebody on the grating?
Yeah, it felt weird. And in the video game, you could, just to be clear. Like,
good point.
In fact, in Here Comes the Pain, you could pin him on the grating.
Triple H reverses a last ride. He hits Undertaker with the pedigree and he pins him, and Triple H is our new WWE champion. Really good match. I liked this a lot.
Triple H, like, pinning Taker clean was kind of a stunner. Like, Taker hadn't taken a clean loss at this point in a very long time.
Maybe the only time in their entire careers Triple H beat The Undertaker.
In earnest in the following years, so that's all good.
Maybe he beat him in that last time ever match they had.
Yeah. But this might be, it would be an interesting question to say what the best Elimination Chamber match is, because there really haven't been very many good ones, but this is probably top 3, right?
Yeah. I like this one.
Yeah. This is a really good match.
Okay,
It's a great use.
Triple H did beat The Undertaker in Australia in 2018.
Australia doesn't count. It's like saying he beat him in Narnia.
Backstage, Vicky yells at Edge for screwing up, and then she quickly apologizes.
Edge is doing such a great job of selling that he is, like, absolutely devastated and distraught. Because, like, I like the idea of wrestlers selling that, like, you lose at No Way Out and you're off the WrestleMania card. It is so important to win at this show or you might not even be on the fucking card at WrestleMania.
Yeah, he's gone from the main event of WrestleMania to like the pre-show battle royal.
Exactly. And like for that character especially, that is so incredibly devastating.
Next up, no disqualification match, Randy Orton versus Shane McMahon.
Now look, at this time, you would have had every reason to think this was going to be the stinkeroonie of all fucking time. Orton hasn't had a really good match at this point in years. Shane McMahon hasn't had a good match in years. Like, things were not set up for success here.
Orton does a robotic promo before the match backstage.
The promo that he did to Stephanie on Raw, where he's just like, you knew I had anger management issues and management still put me in a position where this could happen. So it's actually your fault. And if you fire me, I'll sue this company. In fact, fire me. I want to get fired. I want to sue this company so bad. I'll take it for all the money it's worth. And you know that he would have. And so now he like vacillates wildly between like literally being consumed by rage and killing everyone and cutting these incredibly empty robotic promos where he's like, I'm going to do my best and I'm sorry for what happened. Like, it's creepy. Like, it's very unsettling the way he's doing this.
Shane scores with some jabs and he knocks Orton out to the floor. And they come back into the ring. Orton gets control. He beats Shane down. Orton knocks Shane to the floor, but Shane gets a kendo stick. He beats on Orton with it. Shane knocks Orton back out to the floor. He puts him on the announce table. He goes for the flying elbow drop, but DiBiase and Cody cut him off.
God, I love DiBiase and Cody as like these little fucking jackals who just always show up and cause trouble.
Cody looked so good here. I had this memory that he was still really skinny at this point, but he had already bulked up.
Yeah, he's still got the no knee pads, which still look super weird, but like him and DiBiase look like actual threats.
Shane fights both of them off, and then he hits Cody with the Van Terminator.
Sure does.
Shane goes for the elbow drop on Orton, but Orton rolls out of the way, and Shane crashes through the table. Orton got busted open by the monitor, I think. This is some great blood.
This is one of, like, the greatest blade jobs of all time, or if a hard way, I don't actually know, like, whatever it is. But, like, it's covering the left side of his face and his forehead, so it leaves, like, one eye completely clear. So it's almost like a Terminator effect, where, like, one, like, really, like, bright eye is, like, staring at, like, wild-eyed at Shane, while everything else is just, like, slathered with blood on the other side.
Orton superplexes Shane through a table. He still can't keep Shane down, so he sets up for the punt, but Shane counters with a spear. Shane then hits a series of chair shots. He sets up for the punt, but Orton counters it with an RKO for the win. I thought this was way too long, and Shane got way too much offense.
I will say this, like, Steve does not care for Shane McMahon matches, and this is very much one of those Shane matches where we just have to pretend like he's actually good enough to go with Orton on this level. But with that said, this is a really entertaining brawl that really makes the most of what you can get out of Shane McMahon. And this is like the one period where Orton's like methodical, stomp on all your body parts and like beat you down is actually working. And the fans are way into this. They are so into what Orton's doing. They're going with everything. When he does like the hanging apron DDT here, the fans treat it like he executed Shane McMahon. Like, this is good shit. So like, while this was way too long and Shane did get too much, I think this was actually a pretty killer match.
Next up, for the ECW Championship, Jack Swagger defends against Finlay. Anyone could have come out to face Swagger. I had no idea who was coming out.
Were you one of the people who at this point thought that Jack Swagger was like the future of WWE?
I don't remember. I feel like I might have, because I feel like I tend to fall for like big athletic hosses.
There was definitely reason to believe something along those lines. It really was. Like, he's gigantic. He's got some charisma. His shit on the way to the ring is really good. His matches are decent. The Doctor Bomb as a finish is a killer finish.
Yeah.
The music is great. You can see it. But that's because they're not letting him talk yet. And that was really the death knell.
I mean, can you just not overcome the lisp?
I mean, I'm not even sure that like the lisp kills him, but he's also just a bad promo. Like on top of the lisp, so like there's really no getting around that.
I'd say give him a manager, but they gave him Dutch Mantel, and it still didn't work.
I mean, it got over, but in all the wrong ways.
Yeah. So Christian returned to WWE on last week's episode of ECW. It's Christian.
The fact that Vince told Todd
Yes!
Grisham to be like, don't act excited.
Don't be
act
excited.
like
When Christian comes out, do not be excited. Do not show any excitement.
That's the most fucked up thing. Why did you even sign this man back if you're just like, don't be excited that it's Christian. Just be like, it's Christian.
The madness of Vince McMahon. That, like, he'll sign somebody to, I'm sure this was like a $400,000 downside guarantee. Like, a healthy mid-six figures guarantee he's going to pay this guy, even though he hates him and thinks he's worthless.
And because somebody else leaks that Christian's coming in, he goes from on SmackDown in a WrestleMania highlighted match to don't even hype him, just put him on ECW and fucking let him rot.
Ends up having a great run on ECW.
Yeah.
ECW was the best show in WWE in 2009.
When Christian was just like running the gamut and like pulling out bangers with everybody, hell yeah, it was. Christian and ECW saved so many careers.
Finlay became the first man to pin Swagger in WWE 2 weeks ago after he hit him with his shillelagh.
Yeah.
Grisham says that Swagger graduated from Oklahoma with a 3.4 GPA and a degree in finance. I wonder who told him that.
In case you ever wondered, like, if JR's fastball ever went away. Nope, that's still all he cares about.
Pretty slow match, lots of holds, plenty of boring chants from the crowd.
I mean, it's an 8-minute match. It's not particularly interesting.
No, I didn't feel like these two had a lot of chemistry. I think somewhere around this time, Vince decides that Finlay is too old and he has to retire.
And I mean, he is like 55. Like,
he was still good, though.
He can still go. There's no doubt about that.
Swagger runs Finlay into Hornswoggle and then follows up with the Dr. Bomb to get the pin. Not a great match.
No, but it's a good win for Swagger to beat Finlay clean like this. And like I said, that Dr. Bomb was a hell of a finish, man. Because the thing about the Dr. Bomb is you kind of have to like deadlift guys because it's such an awkward angle to pick them up that it's not like a normal powerbomb where like the guys are jumping for you. So like just seeing him like deadlift fuckers up is always impressive.
Do you think that's why he stopped doing it? Because he couldn't do it to big guys?
I mean, his first feud, like, as, like, champion was against the Big Show, and he definitely wasn't going to be doing it to Big Show. So, yeah, I guess so. They really, at this point, he wasn't a carbon copy of Kurt Angle, like they would make him later be. It seemed like their answer for why isn't he getting over was, I don't know, make him do more Angle stuff.
All right, we see Shawn praying backstage, and then we throw to the promo for the match, and it's time for Shawn Michaels versus JBL. At JBL's invitation, Shawn's wife, Rebecca, is sitting in the front row.
If I was Shawn, there's no way I invite her to anything after the last time I did that.
Yeah, just have JBL hit her with the clothesline from hell this time. Why not?
There was a particular part of this storyline where they were in a number one contendership like Fatal 4-Way, and like JBL told Shawn to lay down and he refused, so he just stood there and was like,
Yes.
give me the clothesline from hell. I gotta be
like the crucifixion.
He literally and then JBL gets like a big evil smile on his face. He's like, fuck yeah, buddy, and he just fucking clubs him to death.
I shouldn't have found this funny, but when Triple H made Big Show knock out Dusty Rhodes.
Yeah.
He caught Dusty on the way down.
And Big Show's crying as he kills Dusty Rhodes.
Dusty's like, it's okay, just do it. First big move of the match is Shawn getting JBL in the final figure four, but JBL is so tall he can reach the ropes. Then Shawn uses a crossface. JBL manages to roll him into a pin the same way he beat Chris Benoit at WrestleMania 22.
Yeah. JBL
overpowers Shawn, starts wearing him down. Shawn finally catches him with a swinging neck breaker when JBL telegraphs a backdrop. Then they fight on the top rope as JBL goes for a superplex. Shawn knocks him off, goes for the elbow drop, but JBL rolls out of the way. JBL then nails him with the clothesline from hell, but Shawn kicks out at 2. Do you think he got him?
I mean, I can't imagine a world in which Bradshaw actually wins this match, but I was thinking, I can't actually think of anyone who had ever kicked out of the clothesline from hell. I think probably Taker did.
Yeah, maybe Cena got to.
But yeah, it was a pretty protected finish. Yeah.
Yeah. JBL hits another clothesline from hell. That knocks him out to the floor. Shawn barely beats the count back to the ring. JBL goes out to talk shit to Rebecca and she slaps him. Got him good.
Yeah.
Back in the ring, Shawn hits the flying forearm and kips up. He hits the flying elbow, and he hits Sweet Chin Music for the 1, 2, 3. Ending was a little flat. They could have, he should have JBL should have ducked, gone for the clothesline from hell, and then Shawn should have hit him coming off the ropes with Chin Music.
I agree. I do think this was definitely the best match that they possibly could have gotten out of JBL at this point, because literally, his back is so unbelievably fucked. That's the reason why this isn't the WrestleMania match, is that he couldn't get a match at WrestleMania. This was the last match they were going to get.
30-second joke match with Rey Mysterio at WrestleMania, and then he retires.
Yeah, so, it is what it is. I think that this is pretty good. I bet JBL kind of wishes that he could have gotten there and had, putting over Shawn be, the last match of his career. But then that would have cost us Shawn Michaels versus The Undertaker. So I was telling Steve before we started recording, the original plan, so Taker wanted to face Shawn the whole time, but Vince kept saying no. And then when they realized they couldn't get JBL, the plan was for Shawn to put over Vladimir Kozlov at WrestleMania. Yeah. And that's just fucking nuts.
Todd Grisham is backstage with Chris Jericho, who rips on Ric Flair.
Sure he does.
I don't think they have any idea what Jericho's going to do at WrestleMania at this point.
At this point, too, it seems pretty obvious that, they're not even sure that Rorick's in. So, Jericho's just hedging his bets by talking shit about everybody.
I mean, I thought maybe it would be Flair, but, they didn't want Flair to go back on the retirement stipulation.
And I think that was the right choice. That would have felt pretty weird.
I didn't want to see Rick wrestle again. All right. We got the World Heavyweight Championship Elimination Chamber match in the main event. Defending champion John Cena is our first man out. The second man out, never would have predicted, Mike Knox is in this match.
Here's the funny thing about this. This is literally Mike Knox's last ever pay-per-view for this company. Who the fuck put him in this match and why? I can't even think of what he was doing on Raw at the time.
No. I remember him being on ECW with Kelly Kelly, but nothing much after that. Who would you put in instead, though? Trying to
I don't
think
even
of
know.
who else is on Raw other than JBL and Michaels?
That's a fair point. I'd have to look at like the roster to see who else they even had, but I don't know. Like, what's
You could have put one of the legacy. I was thinking Ted DiBiase might be in here. I thought maybe they put one of the legacy guys in.
what's like the Miz doing at this point? Like,
Where is he?
what's like Dolph Ziggler doing? Like, where are these guys?
Him and Morrison are a tag team at this point.
You could have put one of those guys in
Yeah,
there.
where's Dolph? Dolph is debuted by now.
Yeah.
Maybe he's on SmackDown. I don't remember.
Or
Then Kane. Kane!
Kane looking long in the tooth here.
Big belly. Then Kofi Kingston makes his entrance, but Edge attacks him and hits him with the concerto on the steps. And then gets in the cage and gets in the pod and is apparently now in the match.
This is the wildest part about this. Is that, like, first of all, he obliterates Kofi Kingston with his concerto. Like, Kofi Kingston's dead. They got to take him out on a stretcher. And then he just puts himself in a pod, closes it himself, and then, like, locks the cage. And so everybody's just kind of like,
Just go with it, I guess.
I mean, all right, you don't go here, but sure, whatever.
And then Chris Jericho and Rey Mysterio are our two who start the match. Always liked these guys together. They had great chemistry.
Hell yeah, that's a great choice.
Rey misses a charge into the corner and hits his head on the pod, which makes a terrible sound. I hope that was actually him slapping it.
I hope so, but man, it sounded great. Like a BAM!
Yeah. Yeah, that plastic would make a great sound. And it probably didn't hurt that much to hit it. I feel like that plastic had some give.
I don't remember. Are they still referring to it as
Yes.
glass here? Oh, God.
Bulletproof.
Bulletproof glass. Not at all thick panels of shitty plastic. Don't worry about that.
Kane is the third man in. He starts fast, but then Ray pins him with a seated senton off one of the pods. Kane is out.
That was pretty stunning. Maybe Kane wasn't in shape to actually have a match here. I don't know.
Knox is the next guy in. He lasts about 5 minutes before Jericho pins him with a code breaker. Get out of here.
So, this whole match is just Jericho versus Mysterio.
Yeah. No. We don't need anyone else.
Yeah.
Edge comes in next, and him and Jericho seem to be working together against Ray. Suspicious.
Which is fun, because, like, what the hell chance does Ray have if they're working together?
Cena's the final entrant. He comes in hot. He hits the 5-knuckle shuffle on Edge. He sets up for the AA, but Jericho hits him with a code breaker. Then Ray hits him with the 619, and Edge spears him, and he pins him, and John Cena's out in 2 minutes. My God.
We get that classic reaction shot of Edge as
Yes.
he's just like, hoo, you got him.
What brilliance this was.
This is maybe the most stunning thing I've ever seen on pay-per-view, aside from, like, Lesnar beating Taker. It's like, the idea that Cena would not only not win this match like he wins every match, but get his ass whooped immediately by everybody and get eliminated.
Yeah, didn't even make it to the end game. Barely lasted 2 minutes once he got in the ring. Just got decimated.
This is actually like a 10 out of 10 perfect way to like book these elimination chambers, because this one feels so different from that one before, where it was like a huge brawl and like everybody was like throwing bombs. And in this one, it's just like a systematic, everybody in the match stops what they're doing, eliminates the new guy, goes back to fighting.
Makes total sense.
Yeah.
Gotta get John Cena out. None of us can beat him one-on-one.
I just like, so often, like, that's not something that, like, wrestlers actually acknowledge. But, like, I love the idea of being like, yo, that's fucking John Cena right there. He's going to win this match if we don't all gang up on him. Let's do it.
All right, so we're gonna have a new champion. We've got Edge, Jericho, and Mysterio. One of them's gonna win the belt here.
That's cool.
Yeah. At this point, were you like, okay, Edge is gonna win?
I honestly didn't. Like, I kind of thought that maybe Mysterio might win. I wasn't sure. But like, I remember being so caught up in this and being like, there's no way either of these guys is gonna win. Like, maybe somehow Cena will come back in, or like somebody will fuck this. Like, I can't believe that either one of these guys is gonna win this title.
Mysterio hits Jericho with the 619, but when he goes for the senton, Jericho blocks it. He goes for the walls, but Ray gets him in a cradle and pins him, so we're down to Edge and Mysterio.
That does kind of kill the game, because like, it's a lot easier to believe that Jericho might win the belt than that Mysterio's gonna win it.
Yeah, but you couldn't have it come down to Edge and Jericho.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
Edge goes for a spear, but Ray dodges. He rolls Edge up, and everybody thinks this is going to be the 3 count.
Like, the crowd goes, 1, 2, no!
Oh! Ray counters everything Edge does, but he can't keep him down. Ray
Great
charges.
continuity back to them being partners together.
Yeah. Ray charges Edge on the outside and gets slammed into the pod. And then Edge hits him with the spear and pins him. What a great moment. Edge is the world champion.
Edge
Is there
started this
anything better heat than when you think the heel is finally beaten, but they come out ahead?
Like, it's so good. When Jericho did that shit at No Mercy, that was also like just as good. Where like, Michaels finally beat him and humiliated him and put him in the dirt, but then he leaves as the champion. Fuck you, Michaels.
That match didn't even count. It was unsanctioned. I love that Jericho. That's one of that might be the best promo Jericho ever cut the next night. Where he just runs down all the reasons, like Michaels beating him doesn't matter. Michaels is a monster, like, look what he did to me, but I'm a good man, and that's why I'm your world champion.
That's like one of the great one-night stories of all time. Yeah. And this is another one, like, for Edge to start the show getting humiliated, and then in the end, he fucking is on top, takes the belt from the person he hates most in the world, John Cena, and now he has effectively jumped shows and is the champion of the other show. Imagine you didn't watch the pay-per-view and you just like watch Raw and you're like, Edge is the champion? What?
What the hell happened?
That's awesome.
Great shot at the end where we get Edge, cuddling the title and then we see the WrestleMania sign in the background through the cage.
Now, of course, this is going to go into a John Cena versus Edge versus Big Show match that nobody cares about.
No one wants to see.
If it had just been Edge versus Cena, man, that's some white hot shit. But the addition of Big Show is just like, nope, nobody cares.
I think they just felt like they owed it to Big Show for doing the Mayweather match the previous year. That's what they did. For.
Yeah. I mean, I get wanting to reward the man, but like, not like that. Like, find something else for him.
All right, just one Twitter question this week. AJ Jones asks, if JBL had decided to have a surrogate for him in his match versus Shawn here, whom would you have chosen?
I was thinking about, like, if they had wanted to continue it on to WrestleMania, like, could you have given him, like, a young protege that Shawn also had to help win to get, like, some heat on that guy, too? And if you're doing that, I mean, Swagger seems like the guy.
Yeah, that's a good idea. That would have been cool.
Like, I've acquired a new talent, and it's Jack Swagger. You're going to help him defend his title, too, damn it. That could have been pretty good.
All right, have we got to stump Steve?
We sure do, buddy. So, in the history of WWE, there have been 8 examples of someone coming into a show and winning a title and losing it on the same night.
Wow.
However, there is only one other example of somebody losing it first and then winning it again afterwards. Normally, in most of the other cases, they win it and then somebody like cashes in Money in the Bank on them. Okay, first of all, can you tell me the one other time that a wrestler lost the title and then won it or another world title on the same show?
Say that again?
So, a wrestler won a title on a show and lost it again on the same show.
Okay.
Or rather...
Wait, did you say that backwards?
Yes. They lost it first and then won it.
They lost it first and then they won it.
Yes.
Randy Orton, No Mercy 2007.
That is correct, Steve, as he was awarded the world title after John Cena had to vacate it, and then Triple H beat him for it, and then he won it back at the end of the show.
Also did it, because Triple H won the title and then lost it.
That is correct.
Yeah, so they both did it on that night.
Now, can you tell me any of the other times that people, like, won the belt and then immediately lost it on the same show?
Jeff Hardy did it when CM Punk cashed in Money in the Bank on him.
That's correct.
God, there's going to be a bunch of Money in the Bank cash-ins here, I would imagine. That's got to be most of them.
Now, the important thing is that they had to have won the belt.
Yeah,
so, like, for example, like
Cena retained it in that Elimination Chamber.
Exactly.
And then cashed in on him. What are some of the other Money in the Bank cash-ins? Punk won the previous time Punk did it, it wasn't the same night Edge had won the title.
Correct. To my knowledge, the last time this happened was 2016, for the record.
Oh, man. Here's a good question. Who won Money in the Bank in 2016?
Do you want me to tell you?
Sure.
It was Dean Ambrose.
Oh, yeah, he did it to Seth Rollins that same night.
That is correct.
God, what are some of these other ones?
There are two of these that are not Money in the Bank cash-ins.
Those are the ones that interest me the most because I'm trying to remember how that could have happened.
There's one in the 80s and one in the 90s.
There's one in the 80s.
Now, this one's a little different.
Well, Andre won the title from Hogan on the main event, and then he gave it to DiBiase, and it was vacated.
That is correct, yes.
Yeah. The other one's in the 90s?
It's at a WrestleMania.
Oh, Yokozuna.
Yeah.
Won the belt and then lost it to Hogan. Yeah,
that is correct. The only ones you're missing are Batista cashing in on John Cena after an Elimination Chamber.
Oh, yeah, that was a weird one because that wasn't actually Money in the Bank. That was just Vince gave him a title match.
Del Rio cashing in on Daniel Bryan after SummerSlam in 2013.
Yep.
Sheamus cashing in on Roman Reigns.
Yeah.
And the fuckiest thing that ever happened, Rey Mysterio winning the interim WWE title, and then John Cena coming out and demanding a match and beating him for it on the same night.
I forgot about that one. That one, like, actually counts. That's the kind of thing you were originally asking about, right?
Yeah, I guess that well, no, because he didn't lose it and then win it again, so.
Oh, yeah, okay, I keep getting confused, keep getting this backwards. You're saying, yeah, somebody who lost it and then won it back.
Yeah, that's only happened twice at that one No Mercy, and then here with Edge.
Yeah. All right. Let's add a new segment here at the end where we do live negotiations over what show we're going to do next.
I love it.
I think people might enjoy hearing, like, some of how this process works. So this month,
traditionally, we just spend like an hour after every show doing this.
So this month of February is kind of an interesting one. Like, I feel like there's a lot of uncovered ground in February. Like, we've done a number of No Way Out pay-per-views. We've done a few Super Brawls, but, like, there's a lot of February. A lot of years we just went right into the WrestleManias right after the Royal Rumble. So there's some uncovered ground in February. So, like, we could do No Way Out 2002, in which the NWO debuted in the WWF. That sounds interesting, right?
That is interesting, though. As I recall, that is a stinker fucker Rooney of a show.
That's my memory too, is that it's awful, but I don't think I've watched it since it happened.
I have to look up what's even on that.
Something very near to my heart, early 90s WCW, we could do Wrestle War 91 with the War Games match where Sid almost kills Brian Pillman.
Now that's interesting.
We could do Wrestle War 1990, the follow-up to 1989 Steve's version. We could talk about how Sting was supposed to win the world title, but he couldn't because he blew his knee out a couple weeks before it.
I'll tell you what, I'll make our usual devil's arrangement, which is that I will grant you one of those Wrestle Wars in exchange for TNA Against All Odds 2006.
Oh, yeah.
Where Christian wins this first world title, and we get the triple threat that well and truly solidified this as a real company. Samoa Joe versus AJ Styles versus Christopher Daniels.
That's the good shit. All right.
This might be the only feel-good TNA show ever made.
How many TNA shows did the good guy actually win in the end?
Yeah. You also get the James Gang versus LAX, Rhino versus Abyss.
Wow. It's like an all-star show.
Yeah, this is all the shit that you want when we talk about TNA. So, you pick a Wrestle War. I don't care which one. Subject me to it. It's fine.
I want to do Wrestle War 90 because I like it'll be fun to pick up where we left off with 1989.
Let me hit you with the matches that are on No Way Out 2002. Chris Jericho versus Steve Austin in what is generally considered to be the worst chemistry any two people have ever had in one match.
All time bad.
Kurt Angle versus Triple H for the number one contendership for the title. Yeah.
They swerved us.
Rock versus Undertaker.
Oh, that's weird.
Regal versus Edge and Brass Knuckles on a pole for the IC title.
Yes! That's the good shit.
Taz and Spike Dudley versus
RVD.
Goldust versus RVD, yeah.
Yes! That's the pervert shit.
So I am actually totally on board with this horrifyingly shitty show that we can absolutely do. And then meanwhile, we getting the sad old NWO coming through.
All right. Which one do you want to do next week?
Let's do Wrestle War.
Yeah.
Let's get some of that 90s vibe going.
The very beginning of the 90s. The part of the 90s that was still really the 80s.
Like, just based on the poster, which is about a feather-haired Ric Flair looking like the picture was taken in 1985.
Wrestle War 90, Wild Thing.
Wild Thing. Who is that in reference to?
I have no idea, actually.
Who's the Wild Thing on this show?
I don't know who the Wild Thing is. Maybe it was supposed to be Sting.
Here we will see the skyscrapers of Dan Spivey and Mark Callis not actually be the skyscrapers because the masked skyscraper will come in.
Yeah, Sid is injured.
Ooh.
We've got the Steiners against the Andersons. We've got Midnights versus Rock and Roll. We got Cactus Jack versus Norman the Lunatic, right?
Yeah. The fabulous feathered hair of Brian Pillman and Tom Zenk take on the fabulous Freebirds.
Hey! Yeah.
There's a lot of weird shit on this show.
It's before WCW totally goes off the rails. Like, I think, I always look at that RoboCop show as like kind of the dividing line between like the NWA and WCW.
And I believe that is literally the next show, right?
It is the next one, yeah.
And I will tell you, that Capital Combat is maybe my favorite WCW show of all time, just because I love that RoboCop shit so much.
Sick fuck.
It's really the dividing line between the NWA stuff where I'm like, ho-hum, yeah, this is fine. And the WCW stuff where I'm like, this is crazy! I love it! It's so stupid!
Just the weird fever dream.
I love that fever dream.
So yeah, we'll have all that more next time on the Lawcast. Thanks for listening. We'll see you again next time.